Elections Candidate Forum. My name is George Barrett, and I'm the co-chair of the Orange County Affordable Housing Coalition.
Hey y'all, my name is Molly DeMarco. I'm a board member and founding member of Next Chapel Hill Carrboro. We do a lot of community organizing related to affordable housing, transit, bike ped type things. I want to thank you all for being here and say that y'all beat Chapel Hill. There's more of you in this audience than there was in our Chapel Hill forum last week.
This is a competition. But that is sexy. It is sexy. Like, as a Carrboro resident, I can have mine. Like, yeah, right on that as well. But yeah, we want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. For folks who are not familiar with the Affordable Housing Coalition, we are a group of advocates, affordable housing providers and developers, and really folks in this community who are really caring and are really trying to make affordable housing happen in Orange County. So we do a host of different things throughout the year, and this is one of the things that we're really excited about. And this is our first time doing it in partnership with Next. And so again, it's been great to partner with Next to be able to make this happen. And we're just excited that you all come out tonight, and we also want to thank all of our candidates for making time in your busy campaign schedules to come and be here tonight. And answer some questions about affordable housing, but also transit and pedestrian, and show up for your constituents. So I'm going to get out of the way and pass it to our moderator for this evening, Donna Karen.
Thank you, everyone. Hold on. Couple logistics things. Bathrooms are down and around the corner. And we're going to set the stage for tonight. So, audience rules. Applause eats up time, so let's cheer, finger waves, snaps, all that. And then we're going to be quiet so that the candidates can really answer questions. Also, please silence your cell phones. This is how tonight will work. All candidates will answer each question, though there may be a slight modification for incumbent candidates. All of the questions pertain to aspects of transit equity and affordable housing. You will notice the theme of equity throughout because the most vulnerable and underserved populations among us are the most susceptible to impact and the least able to spend money to adapt. I will tell you how much time you have for each question, and time limits will be adhered to. Christina will hold up her card with all your time. So let's get started. We will start with introductions. Candidates will have 60 seconds to answer. Please introduce yourself by providing your name, preferred pronouns, day job, what you love about living in our community, and a quick fun fact about yourself. Let's start with Mayor Hushu.
All right, and I think I'm going to stand up because that's what I feel like doing, if you don't mind. Good evening, everyone. I am your mayor, Barbara Fouché, mayor of an all-America city, 2025. Just real excited about that. Yeah. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and
Day job.
day job is the mayor, and all-time job, senior technologist in a molecular oncology lab out in Research Triangle Park.
What you love about living in our community.
What I love about living in our community is diversity, and not just race and ethnicity. We have more diversity, sexual orientation, religion, I mean, you name it, it's here. It's a smorgasbord, and I just think, it's really good for the community. So the diversity of the community for me, I love Marvel and DC Comics. Bam! I'm done.
Councilperson Palmer can go next.
Sure, I trust myself less with the microphone, so I'm just gonna stay right here close by this one. So name, Cristobal Palmer, he, him, his, but a singular they is great, and if people wanna normalize using that, I also accept that. Day job, I run a lab on campus at the lighter blue of the nearby universities, but all the universities are great. Research is great. Collaboration is great. I supervise mostly undergrads these days, learning to use tech stack involving web stuff. Thank you for the time warning. I love about our community its commitment to its values. We live our values very much. We wear that on our sleeve, and we're not going to give up on that. And a fun fact about me, man, I was not ready. I have way too many hats.
Councilperson Noel.
Thank you. I'm Danny Nowell. I use he, him pronouns. My day job, I am a freelance copywriter. I think that my favorite thing about living in this town is the collective, I really like the collective desire for change. That is something that, like, people, by and large, a really high percentage of people move to Carrboro to live in Carrboro and make it a little bit more. I think people are really intentional about coming here. There are a lot of people in this room who have taught me a lot of things about being on town council since I've been on town council. Fun fact about myself, my leg hair is growing back out after bike race season. Yeah, I shaved it. My wife hates it, but that's where I'm at in my private life now. So now you all have to know that.
That was a lot.
Yeah. Well, hey, fun fact.
Okay, it's fun, Danny. It's fun.
Fred Joyner.
Hello, everyone. I'm Fred Joyner. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm going to do my day job and fun fact in the same. So I tell people that I'm an IT guy to make a living, and I'm a poet to make a life.
Love it.
So I take that seriously. The creative, all things creative, like are the things that I love. Visual art, performing arts. I think that, yeah. Oh, 30 seconds. Okay, good. What I like about living here, I'm new here. I've only been here for I got here in Carrboro August 2017, and I think two things. One is it seems like Carrboro doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, yes, we're committed to these things, but as evidenced just by the jovial nature of this, like, we can laugh, right? We can have fun. So yeah. She held up the stop sign, that's why I stopped.
So, our first question is about housing access and affordability. Candidates will have 90 seconds to answer. Well, Fred, you're my only new candidate, so you're the only person who gets to answer this question. In your view, what is your town currently doing well to promote housing access and affordability, and what would you do differently?
Oh, you said me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say this. First of all, I'm new, and I'm learning, right? And so I'm still learning about all the things that we've done and that we're doing. But the bit that I do know right now is that engaging with getting more educated and looking towards land use and zoning and all of those things, really digging into the teeth of those things, redrafting those things are the important things, because those are going to be the things that set us up to make the kinds of moves that we want to make with housing. And so I think that's vitally important. It's something that is important to me. I am the recipient of affordable housing. When I lived in Washington, D.C., the only way when I was there over 30 years ago now, like, that's the way that I was able to purchase a home in Washington at the time. And so these things are important to me. And so yes, but those are the things that I think, just to answer the question, is land use, getting educated, looking at our processes for how we engage with developers, and try to streamline our processes to build housing and to increase our supply and make it more accessible for more different kinds of people.
Thank you.
Yes, I was right.
For our incumbents, how has your understanding of the affordable housing needs and landscape changed since you've been in office, and what would you do in your next term to address this? Councilperson Now.
Thank you. I would say that my understanding has really been to come to learn how much the system is not built for affordable housing, and is built to put up obstacles to our providing affordable housing. I could go a lot longer than 90 seconds on the climate in North Carolina, but we exist functionally disenfranchised in this state, and we have a hostile legislature with a gerrymander that robs us of so much. And one of the things that gerrymander is really active in doing is preventing municipalities like Carrboro from pursuing the fullest measures that we know to be true: public housing, rent control, or at least rent regulation. These are tools that any municipality who's grappling with this seriously in the world puts into play, and we don't have that ability. So what I think that's daunting, it's also freeing, because it puts us in a position where we just have to fight with pretty much every chip that we have. And so one thing that I think we're going to do differently is we're going to streamline our LUO. Fred talked a little bit about that. That's really important. We're going to address housing supply and efficiency. That's really important. But without more aggressive and imaginative measures, that's just trickle-down housing. So we're going to be looking as aggressively and imaginatively as we can look at gap financing projects, finding ways to really put resources, find innovative loan structures into increasing the supply of meaningfully affordable units, and not just market units that we hope will become affordable. And I'll stop there.
Councilperson Palmer.
Just to, yes, and that was a great answer. I would build on that to say, personally, one of the things that I have come to appreciate is just how much of a network effect there is between our different policies. That transportation policy is housing policy. That our, again, every tool that we can bring to bear. Right now, we are in a crisis. We have fallen so far behind that it has not, it's not just a need to add housing, it is an emergency. And so we have to think big about what sacrifices we're willing to make in order to catch up. And it's really challenging in the wake of things like Chantal. We can't do everything that we want to do right at this moment. So how do we phase it? And that is the other big thing that I'm learning, is that you have to plan out beyond the time horizon that is comfortable for most folks to sit with and think about, and is challenging because you have to talk to people who are unlikely to see the benefit of the change that you're asking them to make. And it's something that I wrestle with semi-constantly, is how do I talk to folks about a change that I have to stop?
It's hard out here. So the first thing I want to say, and you probably heard it before, is that housing is a human right. And it really should be looked upon in that way. I am certainly proud of the work that the town of Carrboro has done thus far. But at this point, I realize we need more innovative and creative solutions. I think time has run out on what we have been doing. In our budget, we did add another ½ cent to the property tax rate. We invested in affordable housing this past budget cycle. I'm also looking forward to our unified development ordinance, which is hopefully going to allow for more affordable housing. We need a more diverse housing stock across socioeconomic ranges. This is what we need. And so I think hopefully our new UDO will complement our Carrboro Connects comprehensive plan to hopefully get more affordable housing. And the collaboration is really key for us here in the town of Carrboro. We're almost landlocked, and I'm out of time, so, almost landlocked, so we look at collaborations. We're very proud of Perry Place as well as our townhomes on Cobb Street, and so we certainly look forward to doing more of that here in town. Critical home repairs and weatherization, and naturally occurring affordable housing, all of that. Thank you.
Our next question is about homelessness. Candidates will have 90 seconds to answer. We see people experiencing homelessness every day in our community. What will you do to make sure that our community is directly and meaningfully addressing the needs of our unhoused neighbors? And we will start with Mayor Bashir.
Yes, and that's an everybody issue as well. It will take, I believe may have been a question somewhere, but I just think it will take all of us. And when I say all of us, those that are impacted, business owners, community members, folks like IFC, I see Jackie Jinks in the back row there staring at me profusely. It's just going to take all of us to wrap our arms around it. We do have our Orange County partnership to end homelessness, but I think over a sustained period of time, it just takes a collaborative approach where we're all at the table discussing what the needs are. What I don't want to see is a criminalization of poverty and homelessness. This is what we do not want to see. This is bad business to criminalize homelessness and poverty, because people go homeless for many reasons, right? I heard somebody say in a meeting the other day, oh, they're a bunch of drug addicts and alcoholics. Well, you don't know that, right? I'm 30 seconds. But you don't know that, and when I see homeless people, that's not what I see. I see somebody that needs help, somebody that may need housing, wraparound services. This is what I see. We have to care about people.
Thank you. Councilperson Coleman.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the chance to speak to this. I attended a panel discussion very recently, and I want to lift up a question and during the open session at the end that my Chapel Hill colleague, Paris Muller-Fouchy, asked, which was turning around to the audience and asking, where are the members of the business community? And thank you, I see one here tonight, but that highlighted for me sort of a disconnect in how we who have been elected are experiencing community feedback around homelessness, that we have people working day to day with the chronically unhoused, which I would just like to point out, this is a challenging number to deal with from a budget perspective, but it is a tractable number. There are 88 in all of Orange County. How do we take a meaningful bite out of that number? And I just want to lift up my colleague here, because you actually asked me that question. How do we take a bite of that some significant time ago? But so to bring it back, we are in an incredibly challenging environment. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Grants Pass, Supreme Court decision, but we are in an environment where jurisdictions broadly are moving towards criminalization, and I 100% agree with the mayor, that is the wrong approach. That does not help anyone. It does not help the business community. It does not help our local homeowners. Thank you.
Oh, so good, and here to your turn. Councilperson Noel.
Thank you. Ultimately, I think the mountain that we have to climb is we have to provide units for people who are currently unhoused to live in. The way that we pursue adding units right now is by and large through something very much like inclusionary zoning, wherein we try to induce affordability from developers, and that this comes with a bunch of trade-offs. And it doesn't reach the part of the market that is not about the market, right? The market doesn't really address human rights. It almost does indirectly, and there are important reasons to increase our supply and our efficiency in building, and those will benefit overall our system and reduce gaps. But I think this is where we are starting to look at, as we come to this moment where we're close to our LUO, we're also talking as a council about, you've heard me mention gap financing and the possibility of revolving loan funds. These are dollars and cents strategies that would represent a little bit of a pivot in our approach from relying on the zoning toward committing more resources to being able to enable developers to, essentially we would be able to bank land as a town, offer developers priority development review, possibly like attractive interest rates, and really try to do everything we can to put budget into fixing the reasons why the market can't provide radically affordable solutions. And we have partners who do that. Like the Pee Wee Homes model is incredible. 88 homes is a steep hill to climb, but that is a number that we could hit with the right budgetary measures.
Fred Jordan?
Yes, thank you. Well, all these brilliant people have said quite a bit. What I will add to it, though, is I think that, one of the things that's disturbed me is to echo what Mayor Fouché said is the otherizing of our unhoused. I guess this was Greensboro had challenges with an encampment that is growing, and there was one in Winston-Salem. There are news stories that just came up recently where one encampment was totally destroyed. And so I think as we think about this and think about what we're going to do, yes, whatever we do, yes, it's about increasing supply. Yes, it's about all of the market things. But again, just to echo what Mayor Fouché said, is to make sure that folks who are impacted are at the table so that we can hear, right? So that we can hear and really listen. The other thing is the gap financing thing that Danny just laid out a little bit of. I think these are some of the creative solutions that we have to think about, because there are going to be people that are may not meet some of the AMI requirements that are going to be on these properties. And so we have to think about that. We have to think about creative ways, right, to bridge that gap and okay. I got the stop sign.
Our next question is about local response to federal and state funding reductions. Candidates will have 90 seconds to answer. Communities across the country are facing a loss of funds from the federal government for programs that provide disaster relief, housing, food security, and other basic needs. How would you build infrastructure support in our community for our community as federal and state resources are stripped away? Councilperson Knoll.
Yes, thank you. So far, we have been relatively lucky, and Carrboro's structure makes us a little bit less vulnerable than many communities. We are almost wholly reliant on property taxes, which is a bad way to structure a town budget, but a good way to protect it from the federal government. Where this really comes into play for us is in infrastructure, and in particular, like road, but especially bike and pedestrian infrastructure. A lot of that flows through the Department of North Carolina DOT, and in particular, the DOT manages a very criminally small portion of money that we are allowed to compete with other municipalities for bike ped projects. I think one of the things that we are able to do is right now we have a process where we design a project, we bid a project, and then we build a project. And this, works reasonably well, but in this incredibly competitive and austere funding environment, I think that we are looking at making our design process more efficient and potentially adopting design, build, bid, design, and build, rather than having a three-step process. And so what we can do here is we can use some of our capital budget or possibly even debt financing if it's a critical piece of infrastructure, to design these things rather than to enter in projects before they are designed to compete for that resource. And our hope is that we can complete a little bit more of our town's vision and make our infrastructure more competitive for what dollars there are.
Fred Jordan?
This is a hard one because I see that I've witnessed the destruction of, my wife worked for USAID, so I've witnessed the destruction of kind of like federal resources to do. I'm interested, again, my brilliant colleagues, but I'm also interested in what we can do together, mutual aid. I think that but looking at our faith communities, looking at the communities, like how we can really work together to really like forge stronger bonds in the community. That's something that we're going to need that's something we always need regardless of what the federal government is doing. So I'm interested in those things. I'm not as much of a wonk as Danny is here. So there's a lot that I admittedly have to learn, but I do think that I'm interested in what we can do together in mutual aid, because those things are connected more to the people. They're more connected to our communities. Use the infrastructure that we have to really work together and to support one another. I know that's not a very wonky answer, and it's not a very technical answer, but it's the answer that I feel, and it's what I feel like I'm prepared to do, how I'm prepared to live my life, which is why why I'm sitting before you right now. So.
Thank you. Councilperson Palmer?
Thanks. I think to build on that, because we're not going to see it as directly in our budget, it's going to either come via county services that have to pull back because of funding that flows through the county, or it's going to come drip by drip or in waves as people employed by USAID, people employed on grants that get canceled, lose their positions. And I think one of the things that we can do, in addition to showing up, which I love that answer, showing up in mutual aid context, is provide context for no shame expressions of need for people to talk about. I just want to toot the horn of this building, third floor. There's an NC Works office, and I take every opportunity to tell people, come to the director, just hang out. You can plug in and work, use the free county Wi-Fi here. And so normalizing that, I'm a public employee, you can look up my salary. There are a lot of uncomfortable conversations, like having salary conversations, that we need to figure out collectively how to normalize, because people are going to struggle more in the next 4 years.
So, ever since July, I believe 6th of this year, when Tropical Storm Depression Chantal rolled through our community, I feel like it was an eye-opener for me, and I think for others here in the community. We are still recovering. A public works facility was underwater. They're currently scattered across our community, but they're still serving our community. And we had 2 neighborhoods and some other homes as well that were deeply impacted. But getting back to the federal and state funding, which I feel like more and more we can't rely on that much, as we used to. Our budget is a small budget, as Mayor Pro Tem now said. It's basically completely dependent on property taxes, with very little room, to embrace anything more than what we're doing right now. And so I would say, that we may need to start having other conversations, particularly about climate resilience. We're doing a lot of that here in the community already. And I think we're going to need to do more. Certainly I know from our Fire Chief Potter, he gave a report, and he talked about how they were looking at emergency response, what was done great, what needs to be done better. But as a town, we're still digging out, and we'll just have to see how things go. Thanks.
Thinking about the projects to promote active transportation that are being planned in Carrboro, which 2 to 3 would you prioritize and why? If there's a project not in the pipeline that you think would have a major impact on mode shift, what is that and why? Let's dream together. Councilperson Palmer.
Ooh.
I'm going to start with the last part first. And that's, so for now, the NSBRT project is still on track. And something that is not part of the vision right now is an east-west corridor connected through that. And that is what would benefit Carrboro tremendously. So if I'm going to dream right now, it's that stays on track, and before that is halfway through implementation, we are already building an east-west connector for that. I think that would do massive numbers in terms of mode shift. The previous, what do we have in the pipeline, our most recent budget, I'm sorry, this is doing weird feedback weirds. Our most recent budget greenlit a bunch of stuff, including Shelton and Maine, that we're gonna get. And props to, by the way, I biked here and saw the new reflective striping on the way here, so that's great. There's stuff that is in process that we did in our most recent budget that we just adopted that is already going down. So I look forward to seeing more of that. Oh, and I'm excited. Why didn't I think of those before now? BL0044, which is a number you don't actually need to know. The State Department of Transportation is in fact moving forward with multiple pedestrian-activated stops and crossings on NC 54. Yep. So that is still on track and still on schedule, despite a budget overrun on that. And with that, I'll stop.
For John?
I think that, well, first of all, I'm not totally familiar with all the projects, to be honest with you. And so, but from a philosophical and the way that I would like to live my life and the way that I would envision Carrboro being, I came from a place where I didn't have to drive. I don't like driving. And so you know, to kind of piggyback on what the last piece of what Mayor Foushee mentioned about climate resilience is like, we have to figure out a way to not use our cars and other forms of transportation very much, right? Or communal ways of transportation. And so like, I've experimented with riding my bike to work. And so anything that I can do, anything that I can do to support getting around and not driving are the things that I would like to explore. To expand, and then also to expand on what you were saying is like, yeah, I mean, yes, cars are a necessary evil. Part of the reason why I don't ride my bike to work is because I have kids that go to schools that require me to get them in a place at a certain time. And so, you know, that's the reality. So just, I want to be sensible about the things that we can do to, okay.
It's just when you get revved up.
Brutal with that.
Yes, and so I work out in RTP, as I said earlier. I drive there 4 days out of the week. The bus schedule does not align with my work schedule. And it's excruciating some days from Carrboro to RTP. So a project that I'm ready to see come to fruition is right out here, South Greensboro Street, the sidewalk. So really excited for that to come to fruition. Not quite there yet, but it's coming. And I also wanted to take the opportunity to mention a Vision Zero strategy, which is really, really important to everyone that's moving around in the roadways. And it's a lot of people. You know, it's cars, it's buses, it's people running, walking, it's bikers. And I love Vision Zero because it is about safety and slow zone downtown. I just thought I'd throw that in. Also, safe routes to school. We do have an update on that. It involves the 5 schools here in Carrboro, which I think is going to be really amazing, you know, for our kids. They do deserve a safe route to school. She was putting her sign up. But back to public transit, I guess money for expansion of services, which would equal more frequent bus service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Invited to dream together, I would like to invite you into my dream of planning department project delivery. Carrboro, this is every night what I lay my head on the pillow thinking about. Carrboro we have adopted plans that could go a really long way toward achieving the vision that we're talking about. One of those plans that's been mentioned already is the Safe Routes to Schools. Another one is our Carrboro bike plan. I would really encourage you, if you're in this room, to get on our town website and look at the Safe Routes to Schools and the bike plan project lists. These exist. They are one of the hardest things about our job and communicating with you about our job is that you know, the other side is talking a lot about government efficiency, but our job is really about government efficiency. Because we don't need to reinvent the wheel every time we want, like, this is a goal that Carrboro's had, this is a value Carrboro shares. You know, people here want a safe, high quality, enjoyable way to bike and walk around. It means more dollars for businesses, it means more safety for our kids, and we have these plans. And so when I think about delivering, like a lot of these are fairly low hanging fruit that I think come down to processes of what would be really helpful for people to do is to bird dog us. Get with Next, get with the OCAHC, get with Shift, Chapel Hill, Carrboro, get with the school committees and like go through those plans and look at the ones in your neighborhood and look at the ones that you want to be highest priority because we want that also. I just do want to shout out Bowling Creek Greenway. We are getting there, and it will be great when we do. I got the card, so feel free to talk to me about that after.
All right. Our final question. Our communities faced serious climate change impacts from Tropical Storm Chantal. These types of events are predicted to occur more often. We all have a stake in each other's well-being. What are your ideas for how to make our communities more climate resistant, taking into account frontline communities in your answer? And we'll start with Mayor Boucher.
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind for me is education. Educating the community on how to stay safe during a disaster. Our fire chief talked about that in his update. Last week he talked about building a kit and making a plan. For folks, I think education is really key. And if we're talking about the most vulnerable in the community, I would say the same, education and access to what to do in the event of a disaster. As I said earlier, the town of Carrboro is deeply committed to climate change and sustainability. We do have a chief sustainability officer. Climate resiliency is really important, but education is key. There are some folks that are plugged in to the nth degree, and then there are others that have no idea. And so those are the folks that we want to reach out to with information about disaster preparedness, as well as the importance of climate change resiliency and how to keep yourself safe.
Councilperson Palmer?
Yes, thank you. Just to build on that, in addition to a kit, our fire chief answered a question from me about CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. I think that's what it's called. So if you feel like you have the capacity to step up and help your neighbors, I would encourage you to reach out to our fire chief and say that you would like to attend a future CERT, because if enough people get that at once, we might get an additional one on the schedule, but it comes around every year. So that's valuable training in the event that we are hit with a future storm. You could not only help yourself, but you could help some neighbors. So I would give that a shout out, and I would also give a shout out our program that we have, that I'm going to space on the name right now, but we fund on a cycle every year projects, community projects in neighborhoods, Green Neighborhood Grants, maybe that's the name of the program. Anyway, we fund things like grain gardens, and we got an update from the manager just recently about our most recent projects, and they look great. Mm-hmm. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So the more that we do that, and the more that you partner in your neighborhoods to do that, because let me tell you, stormwater does not respect property boundaries.
At all.
There's nothing that we can do in our UDO Correct. Specific to one parcel or property that's going to keep that watershed safe. It has to be all of us working together. And we have to figure out as a town, how do we incentivize that cooperation and communication?
I think a lot of the immediate things, sort of the steps that we take in the days and weeks after something like Chantal, my colleagues have talked about. I would encourage you all to as I've encouraged you to bird dog us, also find something outside of government and community resilience hubs. A number of us were very involved with Triangle Mutual Aid in the wake of the floods. You want to be inside and you want to be outside, and that's really important. There's work that we need to rely on outside government partners to support neighbors, to push us, to teach us, how to do our work better. But in keeping with sort of my themes here, the way that we build our communities is climate resilience. We will not have a climate resilient community or a climate resilient world if we are dependent on cars. If you can't walk to get milk and eggs, pretty soon, when we don't have enough lithium, you ain't getting milk and eggs. And so that reality is closer to us than we think. And so I think that the way that we are pursuing our land use ordinance, we want to combine, dense, economically diverse, accessible housing with, I think the state's most robust stormwater and environmental protections. We want to explore and incentivize as much as we can passive construction, stormwater standards that we do a pretty good job of adopting sort of in good faith right now. We want to really compel as much as we are able to. And eventually to, have somewhere where people can live, work, and play on foot, by shared transit, safely and sustainably.
Thank you. Rachel?
So, because I'm a poet, I don't like to waste words. So I'll say,
I want to hear some poetry.
Oh, God, no. I'm in the work zone now, right? I think I like to echo what Danny was saying is the way that we build. We have to build smarter. We have to, as we're doing all these things about thinking about how we build our communities, building the kind of housing that we want, building the types of communities we want. I live in Fair Oaks, right? And I would love for my kids when they want to get something from the store to not have to drive them. If there was a little, forgive this term, but if there was a bodega, right? Like a little convenience store that they could go to where they didn't have to cross a major street to get there. Like those kinds of things. Yes, those are like amenities, but those things also, like Danny was saying, are part of a comprehensive strategy for how we build climate resilience in our, into our community. The other thing is I think a lot about when we think about building, selecting parcels of land that are not as vulnerable as others, right? One of the reasons why at least where I live doesn't flood is because they gave great care to how they, we've got these easements that kind of funnel all the water. Anyway, I got the axe.
All right, candidates will now have 60 seconds to give closing remarks or start with Councilperson Palmer.
Thank you so much. Again, whatever brings you joy and is activating that you can come to us with and push us on, I challenge you to do it. We love to hear about your dreams, even if we can't implement them today. Because everything is connected. Housing policy is transportation policy, child care policy. I have to drive today. Almost 30 minutes to childcare that is affordable for my youngest. And that is a choice that is in part driven by when my eldest was born. But it is a choice that a lot of parents are making, that they are structuring significant parts of their lives, their transportation, their housing around that childcare. So let's have universal pre-K in this state. Mm-hmm. Let's go out and work for a legislature that will get us universal pre-K in this state. That is a dream worth pursuing.
Nice.
Quick, Jordan?
Yes to that. No, it's one of those things that we have, paying. I have two children, a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, and paying for childcare for them was more than our mortgage. So I feel that deeply. That said, one of the ways that saved me was a year after we moved here, my parents moved down here. And they weren't able to buy close to us. And that was troubling. I gotta go fast. That was troubling to me. And so my vision for Carrboro is to make it as livable as possible for as many different kinds of people as possible. Yes, childcare is expensive, but childcare the burden of childcare might be easier if we could live in intergenerational households. If we had the kind of housing stock that would allow us to be y'all got the point. Y'all
We got it.
blame her. She did it. Y'all heard me though.
Councilperson now.
Our age of rising fascism relies on all of us accepting some bullshit that we don't have to accept anymore. We don't have to accept that it is impossible for a community like Carrboro to build an economically and racially diverse town where people can live intergenerationally, where we can have each other's backs. We don't have to accept that it is not possible for us to deliver bike and pedestrian projects that make it safe for your kids to get to school. We do not have to accept that it is not possible for us to reach out to other places in the state and say these issues of governance that we share, red, blue, wherever, these are about implementing things that make your life better. And the way that we get those things is with you guys. We need you. A lot of you in this room are organized. A lot of you are in the fight. And for that, like, you know who you are. Some of you text me during MPO meetings. Some of you text me during town council meetings. Keep doing that. But the rest of you, get organized, please. Like, do not leave this room without thinking about an organization where you can amplify your voice. And like, spend a little bit of time on our town website with some of the things that we talked about. Bring those into those rooms and bring them to us, because we can do these things.
Thank you. Mayor Fushing.
Thank you. I want the doors of this community to always swing on welcome hinges, where anybody that wants to live here, work here, and play here can have that opportunity. And that means living into our community values. It's chaotic times that we're living in, but this is truly a people power moment. Depends on if you're going to lean into it or not, right? We still have issues to work on in this community, and people to care for. And I just feel like now is the time for us to come together around issues that matter to all of us. And I feel like, you know, we're all concerned about our community. We're kind of like in a bubble here, right? So not a whole lot happens here, but there are things that have happened to people here, like losing jobs, federal funding, you know, things within our trans community. There have been people's lives that have been touched by what's happening above our head. So last thing, go out and be great, be joyful, stay engaged with what's happening with the town of Carrboro. It's a lot. It's the UDO, it's the downtown area plan, it's a lot of things. So stay engaged and let your voice be heard. Thank you.
All right. Well, this is the conclusion of our forum. I want to thank all of our candidates for being on the firing squad. Don't want y'all. I also want to thank all of our volunteers, especially the Orange County Affordable Housing Coalition Local Elections Committee. So that's Jack and Caitlin and Jackie and Leah. And I want to thank Next, which is Allison and Molly DeMarco, for helping to organize this and be a part of this. Also thanking the director. And let's see what happens.